Pansu. Hi and welcome back to the channel. I'm Steven. Today with a figure unboxing video, more like doll unboxing. This is not an anime figure. Never imagined that one day I would be unboxing a BJD or ball jointed doll. But I'm not sure if this doll over here can be classified as a BJD when it is seamless. You couldn't see the joints, they are inside, and on the outside you have this fake realistic looking skin made of silicone. Yeah, so it is the realistic kind, not the anime kind of BJD or Dollfie or even smart dolls. This is a different kind. And in fact, in the recent couple of years or so, there has been significant amounts of effort being put into trying to influence me into this hobby over here of dolls, which I have been resisting successfully because they are very expensive. Nandos and Figmas are getting expensive. If you're on the budget, you collect price figures or low budget Chinese figures. And then there are the premium scale figures, which are my favorite. And then there is the world of third-party resin figures, which can get pretty pricey if you go for 1/4 scale. And here we have something that goes even higher in prices, BJDs, right? I tend to associate the acronym BJ with something else, not Beijing either, but okay, I like making that joke, let's put that aside. So my disclosure for today is that there's this company, Honeyfoxy.com, link in the description below. They have reached out to me via email offering to send me one of these 1/3 scale realistic dolls in exchange for not much else. They said that it is a gift, it is a present, which is really nice. I'm happy to be recognized as someone legit, I suppose, in the world of collecting and reviewing anime figures on YouTube. But for me, the way I'm seeing it is that I saw an opportunity to make content for YouTube. I love making content, so if the product is somewhat relevant, even if just partially, if I can make a video, I would go for it. So here we are today. This doll over here came via DHL. They shipped something big and expensive via DHL, which is nice. And we have corner braces over here. This is something very common nowadays over here in Asia, especially if you purchase something from China or Hong Kong. You'll see this, right? And usually, yeah, you need to buy something expensive to get this protection. Oh my god, they used hot glue. Okay. There's no saving this. It looks like hot glue to me. I'm a cheapskate, you see, so sometimes I try to save these corner braces for reusing when I ship out figures that I sell, but no, there's no saving this. I'm not sure what glue is this. No, it is not hot glue, it is double-sided tape. Alright, very strong one. Wow. Can I leave the bottom 4 in place? I'm too lazy to pry all of them out by now. This is amazing quality. I'm going to keep this box for future use. Right, the packaging is very similar to what I see with third-party resin figures. Oh yes, handle with care, and what else do we have here? Keep flat. So with this kind of boxes, usually when they ship it out, the courier needs to keep the box flat on whichever direction upwards that is being displayed over here. And basically keep flat, just like my waifu's chest. They have to keep it flat. No, I like oppai, not flat ones. Anyways, let me see. I've torn my glove already before I even begin. I am not going to keep it flat for once. Briefly. Alright, so that is the highest quality carton box I've ever handled in my life. Seriously. Alright, new set of gloves over here. Wow. There was actually an instruction sheet right on top over here, which I have already removed. I edited out this video. So there was a very clear instruction on what you can do with the joints, how much can you bend them, and so on. So here we have a base. Wow, this is heavy. Yeah, they have to be heavy, right? This is metal, this is steel. Here we have another one here and an Allen key. So Honeyfoxy actually has a video on their YouTube channel where there are tutorials on how to assemble this doll right here. So yes, I have watched that video in advance so that I know how to put this thing together and not make any mistakes. But they appear to be pretty simple in general. Spec supply 1x3 scale figure. I like how neat the packaging is. Everything is packed in such a neat order. Pansu. And the top piece, right? So Honeyfoxy let me choose which doll I want from their website. And I chose something that may appear a bit pedestrian, a bit plain initially, because I have plans for the future. I intend to keep this doll, and I might customize it in a way where I can convert it into an existing anime or game character. And I'm thinking of converting this doll into 2B. So I selected a doll that has lipstick or lip color and eye color that is similar to 2B. Not 100%, but maybe 80-90% similar. So all I needed to do was to change out the hair, the wig, and the outfit. And I have a 1x3 scale 2B doll. The customization process is going to cost a lot though. And this would be her outfit. Okay. A comb and the second layer underneath. It is Hadaka. Of course, it has to be, right? What is in this box? The hair. Yes, of course. How can I forget? And a pair of gloves, which I'm sure will not fit my hands because I often face discrimination wherever I go. Discrimination in hand size. Right. I've worked in many different clinics. I'm a dentist, by the way. I've worked in many different clinics, and it is really difficult to find gloves that fit my hands because my hands are a bit bigger than usual. And what? Wait, we actually have 2 wigs. That is a nice surprise. This appears to be long hair and this is short hair. Yeah, I would go for the short hair because it is a lot easier to maintain. Here we have the head. Oh, wow. Wow. How do I even adjust her eyes? Do I just dig her eye or something? I mean, I'm getting an ahegao face over here, not that I'm complaining, but there has to be a specific way to adjust her eyes, or do I really just pry it like that? Yeah, I think I just have to pry it this way. Because I do not want to damage her her eyelashes, I mean. So it took me a while to dress this thing up because I wasn't used to it, but manageable, right? So when I took this body, the Hadaka body, straight out from the box, the first thing I noticed was how realistic the skin looks. If you look at details like the elbow or the fingers, they look real. They look like a human being. Just that I think you have to be extremely careful with the fingers over here. The fingers are actually articulated. So if I want to customize this doll, I want to make her hold a sword or a gun or whatever. I'm not sure how strong the grip is, but small issue over here, because I think the purpose of a doll like this is to make it look as realistic as possible, rather than to make very extreme poses. You know, with some Dollfies, right, there are customization options out there, the resin ones, and then you can even swap out their joints which are exposed, and you can do really extreme poses with it, action poses and so on. This is not that kind of doll where it is prioritizing realism over extreme poses. And for that intended purpose over here is that I think the skin looks amazing. I wasn't expecting this level of detail, to be honest, and sometimes the pictures you see online does not really tell the full story. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with what I got over here. And speaking of silicone being the material used to make the skin over here, it means that you are going to deal with seam lines. I meant mold lines, not seam lines, my bad. So silicone is a soft, rubbery, elastic material, which means they are usually injection molded. You have the mold, a front half and a back half together, and then you inject the material in. Once the material hardens and sets, you remove the mold. You are going to get mold lines along the side of the object, right, or the figure. For harder materials like resin or PVC, you can sand it away, no problems. But for silicone, you can't exactly sand it. You're going to damage the texture on the surface. So it all comes down to how precise the injection molding process is, and that will define the quality of the product. So in this case, mold line, if you pay attention, it is there, but it is also barely there. You could barely see it unless you shine a bright light source like what I'm doing over here in my studio. Yeah, along the side over here. But it is so well concealed, it is barely visible, that I can't help but feel impressed by it, because I've seen way worse with some other kinds of dolls, right? So I suppose that the price of this thing speaks for itself. You're paying for the quality. And over at Honeyfoxy's website, I think this doll, specific doll over here, is called Ava, her name. It is $1,400 US. But I think you're paying that amount for a reason, I suppose. Though at this price, I wish that I get a nicer outfit. I went for short hair on purpose because it is easier to take care of. But for outfit, I wished something a bit fancier would be nice. As you guys saw earlier, I put on her undergarments before I put on this dress, but preferably I would display her without this undergarments on. But I was filming this for the purpose of making a video, so I had to put it on first, otherwise I couldn't show the footage on YouTube. Later on, I'll remove her bra underneath. And then there is the eyes, which I find to be a bit tricky to manage. Not sure if it is a good thing or a bad thing, but once again, do remember that I have fairly big hands compared to the average Asian over here. Her eyes initially, as you saw, it was like ahega, it was like looking upwards like that. And then I was trying to adjust her eyeball, and I was having great difficulty trying to adjust it to the correct orientation. It took me like 10 minutes or so because of my thick fingers, and I was just digging her eye over there. And then what happened was that my glove is like sticking against the silicone material, so I couldn't grab the eyeball properly, and then I had to remove one of my gloves and use my bare hands to dig the eyeball to adjust it. It was risky to do so. You need to remember that silicone is a soft and delicate material, so ideally you'll want to wear gloves whenever you handle the doll, and fingernails, keep them in check. Because if you have long and sharp fingernails and you accidentally dig into the skin, you might create a tear. It will just tear apart, right? It happens. So these kind of things require extra care compared to your typical average anime figure or even resin figure. Though resin figure is a completely different challenge. You are thinking about not breaking it instead, right? Instead of not scratching it with your fingernails. Yeah, the last challenge for me would be to customize it, right? Custom outfit, even the weapons for characters like Nier Automata to be, it is going to cost a lot of money. I'm expecting $500-600 worth of customization if I were to be serious with it. But for the weapons part, at least I could 3D print it in my studio. I have 4 3D printers behind me at the back. We will see how will I customize this thing. Not in the next 1 or 2 months. I have a lot of figures coming that I need to pay for, but in the next 5-6 months maybe, I will try to adjust my budget and customize this thing into an existing game character. Since this is a realistic kind of doll, then I will want to select a character which looks realistic, right? For example, Street Fighter characters, Tekken characters, Nier Automata 2B, Stellar Blade Eve, game characters that look somewhat realistic. I need to choose one of those characters and convert her into that. So the choice I made with this doll over here, her eye color is pale gray color, but with 2B from Nier Automata, it is like pale gray and slightly bluish, but that is acceptable because I can always put on the blindfold. And as for the lipstick color, it is quite close, so I might convert this into 2B from Nier Automata. This is all I can think of when it comes to reviewing a doll like this for the very first time. Articulation range is okay. You guys saw how I adjusted her arm, and for her knee, you can actually bend it all the way back based on the instructions, but I wouldn't stretch the leg way too wide if I were to pose it. So I would keep the pose fairly simple if I were to display this with a weapon or something like that. I wouldn't attempt anything too extreme. And as for my conclusion for this, should you get one? Well, if you are an existing doll collector, there are doll collectors out there who have a full cabinet of 1:3 scale BJDs, like dozens of them. Those people who spend big money on multiple dolls like this. And if you like what you're looking at in terms of character design, then I could verify that the quality over here on the skin and the overall finish is outstanding. It surprised me even. Even though I've seen BJD dolls before in person in anime conventions, what I'm getting over here surprised me even further. It is nice, right? So that is all for today's video on this 1:3 scale doll over here. Something interesting and new. And I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please to give this video a like, subscribe to this channel for more anime figure content every week. And once again, if you're interested, please to check out honeyfoxy.com, link in the description below, and I will see you soon. Goodbye.